This is Joseph from Healthy Marriage. And I want to talk to you for just a minute about conversations, communication, and connection. I'm amazed at the number of couples that we deal with and talk to that really have trouble in this area. And there's several reasons for that, but what I want to talk to today is when you have difficult conversations and you need to communicate with your spouse, how do you approach that? We recently published an article on how to talk to your husband about money problems without fighting. And in that, I lay out 6 different steps to take. And one of the things we talk about is anytime you're going to have any conversation that's of a serious nature, you need to know the goal. Now, this is very practical, and so I don't want you to miss this or misunderstand. Knowing the goal simply means, why do you want to talk about this? It's that simple. And a lot of people, when I ask them that question, they go, well, duh, we need to talk about it. But that's really a surface response. And there are about 4 questions that I have couples ask themselves as they approach the issue of having difficult conversations. So I want to give you those questions, and hopefully it will help you the next time you need to discuss something of a serious nature. Now, let me give you a disclaimer. I'm not talking about just passing conversation or, when you're just talking to your spouse. My wife and I like to prepare food and cook together, and so we just have random conversations in the kitchen and over dinner, and they're not necessarily of a serious nature. But when we have to have a conversation about business, about work, about finances, or some issue that really has a problem connected to it we need to resolve, here's 4 questions that I like to approach with. So I want to give them to you. Number 1, the first question is, what do you really desire? See, I believe a lot of times we're not sure what we even want. And so when we enter into serious conversations, we miss each other because we're still trying to figure out what it is we're looking for, what it is we want. And so I like to start there. What do you desire? And I even encourage folks to write it down. That's another step. But really identify what is it you're looking for. And the second question is kind of similar in the conversation. What's the outcome that you want? For example, periodically, my wife and I will have a business meeting to talk about where we are financially, because we own several businesses, where we are, what we need to do next. And I like to know what is the outcome I want, so we don't just meander through conversations and recite problems, but we come up with solutions. So the outcome that I want is, what's our game plan for the next 3 months? How many articles do we want to publish? How many chapters does she need to write every month for the book she's publishing? And so I like to have those kind of outcomes because it helps us move the conversation forward. The third one is, what questions do I have for my spouse? So if you're dealing with money issues, for example, what questions do you have? How many times are you eating out? Is the company going to reimburse you for these expenses? And just what questions do you have? And the final one is this: write all of these down on paper. I mentioned that earlier. But when you write it down on paper, it helps you process it. It helps you think through. Sometimes I've gone through this process and I've written things down and I go, well, that's not it at all. And it makes me go back to the drawing board and rethink things. But listen, I think these 4 tips on how to know the goal of a serious conversation will help you have better conversations, communicate more effectively, and really connect with your spouse. Because after all, communication is not about the transfer of information. That's important. But communication is about connecting on a deeper level. And so I hope this helps you create the marriage you desire and deserve, and helps you build a healthy marriage.